Energy icon Aubrey McClendon died in a fiery car crash. It happened Wednesday morning. He was 56. Good evening, I'm Dave Morris from the Oklahoman's video studio. I'm joined now by my colleagues from the Oklahoman's business desk. And these are some colleagues who have covered Aubrey McClendon in the various facets of his dealings, and his fingerprints are certainly felt in the business world and in the civic and charity world throughout Oklahoma City. I'm joined by Steve Lackmeyer, Brianna Bailey, Paul Monies, and Adam Wilmoth. Thank you very much for your time. I know it's a busy evening for you here in the newsroom. Steve, we'll start with you. Aubrey McClendon, his impact on the Boathouse District along the river and bringing professional basketball to Oklahoma City.
For a guy who started off as a kid going to Heritage Hall, trying to make money, mowing lawns, and then playing football, something set him apart. And it wasn't just that his middle name was Kerr. It's well told that his great uncle was Robert S. Kerr, once the most powerful man in Oklahoma, also Dean of the U.S. Senate, a giant, an icon in his own right. And you look at the photos of Aubrey as he started up Chesapeake, and he looked so young, and he was in his 20s, and we forget that. And we've been there covering most of his career. And over the years, he built a new Oklahoma City. You look at the Boathouse District, and there's not a single person who will disagree or argue that without Aubrey, we wouldn't have the Road to Rio Olympic Festival coming to the Boathouse District this summer.
You had an interview with Executive Director of the Oklahoma City Boathouse Director Foundation, Mike Knopp. You can watch that interview online at newsok.com. And Mike admitted that this was a man who encouraged you to follow your dreams, and he was able to follow through in a grand scale down at the river.
Yes, you got to think about the fact that they were just looking at like a glorified log cabin for a boathouse. And when Aubrey found out about it, that changed everything. And Aubrey had a much bigger vision, vision I don't think many others had. He saw what it could be, what it's become, and he got his workforce involved. It wasn't just about money. It was about being able to sell this vision, to be able to get people to go after this, to say, hey, Oklahoma City can be this, that we don't have to be what we've been. We can be something greater. This was a ditch. We can make this an internationally renowned waterway where you have regattas, where we have boating activities, where we have festivals, and it's become that. Mike told this great tale of also how Aubrey just didn't want to worry about having to spend a lot of time learning. He just wanted to do it. So when it came to rowing, he just wanted to get out there in the water and get started. And that's the way he approached the riverfront and making sure that it got developed. That's the way he approached the Thunder and getting the NBA to town, while his partners were having to be careful about what they said and dealing with Seattle. Aubrey just flat out said, well, of course we bought this team to bring it to Oklahoma City. He paid $200,000, and he seemed to have no regrets paying that $200,000 either. He was very excited about transforming Oklahoma City into something great. And that's one of the things we're losing. And when you say icon, yes, doesn't matter what you may think of Aubrey McClendon, good or bad, he was an icon, and we've just lost a civic giant from this city in terms of transforming it into what it is today.
And speaking of the Thunder, many of us were watching the Golden State Thunder game on Saturday night at Chesapeake Energy Arena.
He was right at Clyde Bennett's side.
And he was right there courtside. And Brianna, we'll turn to you now. Aubrey had his fingerprints along Northwest 63rd and Western, the development of Chesapeake and Nichols Hills as well.
Yeah, you really can't overstate Aubrey's contribution to real estate development in Oklahoma. He was one of the largest landowners in Oklahoma. He owns thousands of acres of land in rural Oklahoma and around the area of Arcadia. He also, much like for the reasons he brought the Thunder to Oklahoma City, he realized, I think, that to bring the kind of talent to Oklahoma, to build the kind of company that he wanted here, he really had to bring things to Oklahoma City to make it an exciting place to live and work. And developing the Class and Curve Shopping Center right across the street from Chesapeake Energy's headquarters was a huge part of that. he wanted to make it an area where people could live and work and go have a great meal, and make it an exciting place for young petroleum engineers to come work. And he also really elevated the dining scene in Oklahoma City. He was a huge investor in local restaurants, and he was involved, behind the scenes on a lot of projects that a lot of people don't even realize that he was an investor in, or he was the kind of the force behind so many local businesses. And I think after he left Chesapeake Energy, he was more kind of took more of a behind the scenes role. But even after he left as CEO of Chesapeake, he was really, there was so much more that he was involved in, that he had a lot of work that he was still doing, developments he had plans for. And
people like Aubrey are just wired to be entrepreneurs, always have something going, something building, 2 steps ahead. Mm-hmm. You were talking about the Chesapeake campus, and of course that is natural gas, and he was a big champion of natural gas.
That's right, yeah. I mean, Aubrey, his contribution to kind of the natural gas boom and the energy renaissance really can't be understated either. I mean, he along with several other kind of people in that industry early on realized that you could do some horizontal drilling, some hydraulic fracturing, and get a lot more natural gas out of some of these formations that people were not necessarily going into before or knew about. And so he was a big proponent of that. And then obviously here in Oklahoma, partly through Aubrey McClendon and Chesapeake during his efforts there, is one of the big reasons why Oklahoma is one of the top CNG states for compressed natural gas transportation. He was kind of pushed Chesapeake to kind of get going in that arena on transportation as a fuel for CNG, and converted his company's fleet, at least here locally, to run CNG or at least biofuel, and tried to convince other people that natural gas was such a low-cost transportation fuel that was also building supply for his company too, or building demand for his company. And there's a lot of stuff that he has been responsible for in the energy arena too for natural gas.
Paul Monies and Adam Wilmoth make up part of our energy team off the business desk here at the Oklahoma. And of course, Aubrey McClendon is a person they've been following for many years. Adam, I know you're hearing a lot from various figureheads and leaders in the business community. Who has weighed in today?
We've heard from civic leaders, from the mayor, from United Way, from a lot of different nonprofits that he's worked with, from the companies in town and throughout the region and country. He definitely was very influential in the industry. I've been covering the energy industry and Aubrey for really off and on since 2003. And at that time, the energy industry was at a very different time. Shale development, he was really one of the first ones to do that, one of the first ones to take that nationally. Brought in, created what they called Shale School at Chesapeake when he was there, brought in journalists and companies and business leaders and politicians from all over the country to learn how horizontal drilling, how hydraulic fracturing works, and really was a strong proponent. And we're seeing that we're hearing from those companies and the people that he had worked with for so many years.
Became quite the lucrative business as well for Chesapeake as well. He became one of the wealthiest Americans there for a while as well. These stories and more from my talented colleagues, just part of the efforts they're doing. Mayor Mick Cornett is out of town, I believe. Some of the Thunder executives out of town, as well as the teams on a road trip. More coverage, though, as you guys are covering your various beats, talking to various people. Dave Cathy will have more from the dining scene, which Brianna alluded to. This coverage and more in upcoming editions of the Oklahoman and online at newsok.com. And Steve mentioned the Boathouse District. There will be a sunrise ceremony Saturday, 6:30 a.m. at the original Chesapeake Boathouse. So more coverage of that, including live coverage on newsok.com. Guys, thanks for your time tonight. I appreciate it. And again, look for more of their coverage of Aubrey McClendon in the Oklahoman.